A wide view of a rugged mountain landscape in the Andes, with towering peaks shrouded in mist and overgrown vegetation. A sturdy 4x4 vehicle parked on a rocky terrain, with the team unloading equipment from the back. The clear sky and sunlight illuminate the scene. Dr. Valentina Cruz stands next to a vehicle, holding a journal in one hand and a pen in the other, as she surveys the area with an expression of excitement and determination. Dr. Valentina Cruz's hands writing in a leather-bound journal, with the sunlight casting subtle shadows on the page. First-person POV of Dr. Valentina Cruz looking down at her journal. The page is filled with notes and sketches, with the rugged terrain visible in the background. Ancient stone structures partially hidden by overgrown vegetation, seen from a low angle to emphasize their age and mystery. A close-up view of moss-covered carvings on one of the stone structures, hinting at the ancient civilization's craftsmanship. Dr. Valentina Cruz gestures towards the ruins while speaking to a team member, who is seen standing beside her, holding a piece of equipment. The team scattered across the terrain, unloading equipment and preparing for the expedition, with the ruins visible in the distance. A gust of wind gently stirs the overgrown vegetation near the ruins, adding movement to the serene landscape. Dr. Valentina Cruz kneels next to a stone structure, inspecting the carvings closely, her journal and pen resting on the ground beside her. Dr. Valentina Cruz's face as she examines the carvings, her expression a mix of curiosity and determination. The team gathered around the ruins, discussing their findings, with the mist-covered peaks looming in the background. The camera pans slowly across the ancient stone structures, revealing intricate details and overgrowth, emphasizing the mystery of the site. Dr. Valentina Cruz stands at the edge of the terrain, gazing into the horizon, with the ruins and misty mountains behind her. A wide view of the ancient village ruins at night, illuminated by the flickering campfire. The crumbling stone walls and overgrown vegetation create an eerie atmosphere. The campfire burns steadily in the center of the ruins, its warm glow casting dancing shadows on the surrounding stone walls. Valentina Cruz sits cross-legged by the campfire, her journal open on her lap. She holds a pen, her gaze focused on the journal as she writes. Valentina Cruz's hand grips the pen as it moves across the journal, the flickering firelight reflecting off the page. First-person POV looking at the journal. The faint outlines of her writing are visible, illuminated by the campfire. Valentina Cruz suddenly looks up from her journal, her eyes wide with curiosity and fear. The warm glow of the fire highlights her face. A wide view of the ruins. The faint sound of whispers seems to echo through the darkness, and the shadows on the walls appear to shift unnaturally. Valentina Cruz sits frozen by the fire, her gaze fixed on the darkness beyond the ruins. Her posture is tense, and her hands rest on the open journal. The shadows on the stone walls shift and flicker, creating eerie shapes that seem to come alive in the firelight. First-person POV looking into the darkness beyond the campfire. The faint outlines of the ruins are barely visible in the distance. A team member sits near the campfire, exchanging a nervous glance with another team member. The firelight reflects on their worried expressions. The campfire as the flames flicker and crackle, sending sparks into the night sky. Valentina Cruz leans slightly forward, her gaze shifting between the journal on her lap and the surrounding darkness. Her expression is a mix of curiosity and unease. The ruins, with the campfire visible in the center. The shadows cast by the fire create an otherworldly and ominous atmosphere. Valentina Cruz's journal, now abandoned on her lap, with faintly written notes visible on the page. The village ruins are bathed in hazy sunlight filtering through clouds. Ancient stones, overgrown with moss, pulse faintly with an eerie glow. Valentina Cruz stands in the center of the ruins, her posture tense as she scans the surroundings. Her expression is strained, with a mix of concern and determination. A team member sits on the ground, clutching their head with both hands. Their body trembles visibly, and their face is twisted in distress. From the POV of the distressed team member, ghostly figures of villagers in traditional clothing appear, moving silently among the ruins. Another team member stands frozen, wide-eyed and staring ahead. Their gaze is fixed on an unseen horror. From the POV of the standing team member, shadowy figures loom larger and closer, their indistinct forms shifting unnaturally. As Valentina Cruz moves between the team members, her movements purposeful but with subtle tremors betraying her own unease. At Valentina Cruz's face, beads of sweat forming on her brow. Her dark brown eyes dart around, reflecting both fear and resolve. The ancient stones, seen up close, pulse faintly with energy. Cracks in the surface glow with a soft, otherworldly light. A shadow stretches unnaturally across the ruins, creeping toward at Valentina Cruz as she stands amidst the chaos. At Valentina Cruz turns sharply, her eyes narrowing as she stares at the encroaching shadow. Her body is tense, ready to react. A ghostly figure, seen from behind, stands at the edge of the ruins, its form fading into the hazy sunlight. A team member's hands gripping the ancient stones, their knuckles white with tension, as they try to steady themselves. A gust of wind stirs the overgrowth, scattering leaves and dust across the ruins, adding to the sense of unease. At Valentina Cruz kneels beside a team member, her hand on their shoulder. She whispers something, her expression a mix of empathy and urgency. From the POV of at Valentina Cruz, the team member's face is pale and drenched in sweat, their eyes darting around fearfully. The ruins, seen from above, appear desolate yet alive with shifting shadows and faint glowing cracks in the stones. At Valentina Cruz stands alone in the frame, her figure dwarfed by the looming ruins and elongated shadows around her. At Valentina Cruz's eyes, reflecting the ghostly figures and glowing stones in their dark brown depths. The hazy sunlight filters through the clouds, casting an eerie glow over the entire scene. The ruins appear both ancient and alive with hidden energy. A wide view of the ancient village ruins under bright daylight, with crumbling structures and scattered overgrowth. Dust hangs lightly in the air, creating an ominous atmosphere. The team scrambles around the vehicles, frantically packing their gear. Their movements are hurried, and tension is visible in their body language. A pair of hands gripping a weathered backpack, stuffing it with scattered tools and papers. First-person POV looking down at a pair of boots kicking up dust on the dry ground as the character rushes to the vehicle. At Valentina Cruz stands at the edge of the village, her posture tense. She gazes back at the ruins with a mix of regret and fear, her expression conflicted. The ruins loom in the background, seen from at Valentina Cruz's point of view. The crumbled structures appear foreboding under the bright daylight. At Valentina Cruz's face, her dark brown eyes filled with emotion, as she glances back at the ruins. A team member slams the vehicle's trunk shut, dust rising around them as the vehicle is loaded with gear. Close-up of a vehicle tire spinning, kicking up a cloud of dust as the team begins to drive away. The vehicle speeding away from the village, leaving a trail of dust. The ruins in the distance appear isolated and ominous. First-person POV from inside a moving vehicle, looking out at the village ruins as they fade into the distance. Aerial view of the village ruins as the vehicles drive away, leaving behind a desolate and eerie landscape. A wide view of a barren landscape in the Andes, showing scattered stones and overgrown bushes under bright natural sunlight. The vast emptiness dominates the frame. At Valentina Cruz stands alone in the barren landscape, facing the empty space where the village once stood. Her posture is still, and she looks into the distance. At Valentina Cruz's face is visible, her dark brown eyes gazing into the horizon with a reflective expression. The sunlight highlights her features, casting soft shadows. A point-of-view shot of the barren ground in front of at Valentina Cruz, showing scattered stones and patches of overgrown bushes. The texture of the earth is dry and cracked. At Valentina Cruz kneels on the ground, placing her hand gently on the dry earth. Her posture is deliberate, and her gaze is fixed downward. At Valentina Cruz's hand touching the dry ground, her fingers brushing over the rough, cracked surface. The scattered stones are visible around her hand. At Valentina Cruz remains kneeling, her head slightly bowed as she continues to survey the ground. The barren landscape stretches out behind her. A single overgrown bush, its leaves swaying slightly in the breeze. The barren ground is visible around it. Valentina Cruz slowly rises to her feet, her gaze lifting to the horizon. Her posture is steady but carries a sense of loss. The camera pulls back to reveal the vast emptiness of the landscape, with Valentina Cruz standing as a small figure in the center of the frame. The overwhelming scale of the barren landscape contrasts with her solitary presence. A high-angle shot showing the barren landscape from above, emphasizing the scattered stones and overgrown bushes. Valentina Cruz is a small figure in the vast emptiness.